As we have seen, moral rules are made by your conscience, but moral conscience changes with age. Think about a baby, a newborn baby. Does a newborn baby have moral conscience? Can the baby tell the difference between what is right and wrong? Of course not. Moral conscience appears when we are growing, and it changes with time. So, very small kids have difficulties to tell the difference between what is correct and incorrect, while adolescents can perfectly well determine what is correct and incorrect in each situation. So we could talk about the development of moral conscience throughout time with age. This is something that has been thoroughly studied by psychologists. For example, the Swiss psychologist Jean Piaget. He thought that moral conscience evolves and changes in three different stages. The first stage is before the age of 5. And in this stage, the children follow fixed orders. Those orders that are made generally by your parents that they consider rigid and that cannot be changed by any reason. So think about someone who is below 5. If their parents tell this kid that, for example, it is incorrect to push other people, he will never push other people because he thinks the rule is strict and rigid and cannot be changed by any reason. Now, between 5 and 10, when the kid is between 5 and 10 years old, there is an important change in the evolution of moral conscience because children become aware that rules are not something rigid and fixed. They can be changed if we find an agreement with other people to change the rules. That is why in this age it is so important that the children play. Playing is a way to create rules and to change them, finding an agreement with other people. So, if I invent with my friends a new game in which we can push each other, we make a new rule that says that in this game, yes, we can push each other because we agreed upon doing it. That is why Piaget called this stage the conventional stage. Convention is the same as agreement. This is the moment when children discover that rules are something that we make if we reach an agreement with each other. And when children grow, when they are over 10, there is a new step because they discover that there is something more important than the agreement, which is the respect of general principles, such as, for example, human dignity or the respect of other people. Imagine the same example we are considering, pushing people. Is it right or wrong? Well, if you think that the basic principle of your rules is the respect of other people, pushing others is not very nice and you will not do it. But imagine someone runs the risk of falling somewhere because there is a danger. Maybe you can push this person to help them avoid the danger. In this case, you're breaking the general rule of not pushing people because you're doing it for a good purpose. Because the important thing here is not following the rule, but respecting the person. There is another very important psychologist, an American psychologist called Lawrence Kolberg, who followed the steps of Piaget and also created a theory about the development of moral conscience. Kolberg's theory is more complicated, but he also thought that a key moment in the development of moral conscience is when children become aware of the rules as an agreement, as a convention. That is why Kolberg talked about 3 levels. The first level for very small children is called pre-conventional level. They haven't discovered yet the importance of making rules by agreement. The second level is called the conventional level because they have discovered that rules can be made differently if we find an agreement to do so. And the third level is the post-conventional level. We are beyond the agreement because we have discovered there is something more important than the agreement, which are the general abstract principles, such as respecting people's dignity. Now, the difference between Kolberg and Piaget is that Kolberg introduced 6 steps in these levels. So each level is divided in 2 steps. In Kolberg's theory, the pre-conventional level is divided in 2 steps. The first one consists in avoiding punishment. So very small kids try to avoid the punishment that comes when you break the rules, and that's why they follow them in such a rigid and strict way. But in the second stage, they follow rules to get a reward, which is something different. They want, for example, to be praised by their parents when they comply with the norms. In the conventional levels, there are also 2 steps. Step 3 consists in creating rules in order to be accepted by the group. When you are in a group of friends, in a group of peers, you might be interested in being part of the group, being accepted. And then you accept the rules of the group because you want to be part of it. Now, there is a more developed step, which is step 4. And in step 4, it's not only the intention of being accepted, but it is also the intention to obey the rules that we have made by agreement. The third level, the post-conventional level, also has 2 steps. Step 5 appears when children act trying to find a common goal. So there is a purpose that we share, and that's what impulses us to make the rules. Finally, step 6, according to Kolberg, happens when people realize there are universal principles, such as the respect of human dignity, that must be the basis of all our rules.